See also Chevrolet Blazer. The Chevrolet Blazer and the similar GMC S-15 Jimmy are mid-size SUVs from General Motors. Production began alongside the larger K5 Blazer and Jimmy in 1983 and lasted through 2005. In the United States, retail sales after 2004 were limited to two-door Blazer models, all other models being sold to fleets, until April 20, 2005. In the Canadian market, four-door models of the Blazer and Jimmy were sold until the 2004 model year and until the 2005 model year for the two-door models of both. The S-Series SUVs, so named because they were based on the Chevrolet S-10 and GMC S-15 pickup trucks, were produced in Pontiac, Michigan, Linden, New Jersey, Moraine, Ohio, Shreveport, Louisiana, and São Paulo, Brazil. In North America, the Moraine plant produced only four-door vehicles, with both two- and four-door models being produced at Linden, which was the main assembly plant after the switch from Pontiac, Michigan, which became a full-size truck plant. First generation. Upon the introduction of the S-10 pickup truck in 1982 to replace the Isuzu-based Chevrolet LUV, the S-10 Blazer was introduced for the 1983 model year, along with the GMC S-15 Jimmy. Styling cues were based on the first-generation K5 Blazer and Jimmy. The S-Series Blazer and Jimmy did not feature removable hardtops like their full-size counterparts. Notably, the new, smaller Blazer and Jimmy were only offered in a two-door body style, like their larger antecedents. Base power was provided by GM's 2.0 LOHV four-cylinder engine, producing a meager 83 HP. A 2.8 L, 110 HP V6 was offered as an option. Due to emissions laws, a 1.9-liter O4 gasoline engine built by Isuzu was offered as the base model engine in California in place of the 2.0-liter engine, while an Isuzu-sourced 2.2-liter diesel engine producing 58 HP was offered as an option. The 1.9, 2.0 and 2.2-liter diesel were dropped after 1985, replaced by the larger 2.5-liter engine. The V6 was refitted with a throttle body fuel injection system for 1986 in order to improve performance and fuel economy. Jeep replaced the Cherokee's 2.8 V6 with a new, more powerful 4.0 L, 173 HP i6 in 1987. To keep competitive, the Blazer and Jimmy received a new 4.3 L V6 option in 1988, based on the ubiquitous Chevrolet small block V8 engine, producing a respectable 150 HP. Power output was increased to 160 HP in 1989. In March 1990, four-door versions of the S-10 Blazer and Jimmy were introduced as a 1991 model. The four-door had a 6.5 in longer wheelbase longer than the Ford Bronco 2, and a one-piece front grille with a painted black insert. This new grille also did away with the separate metal filler panel under the grille, since the grille is taller and took its place. Early production models between March and August 1990 were initially available as a four-wheel drive only. Two WD versions commenced production around summer 1990. This came just months ahead of the introduction of the Ford Explorer, which replaced the Bronco 2. 6.5 years after the segment-leading Cherokee debuted with four doors. Snowflake alloy wheels were introduced either painted charcoal gray or argent silver. The upscale Oldsmobile Bravada appeared the next year featuring an all-wheel drive package called Smart Track. Although the first-generation S-Series Blazer and Jimmy were initially sold as two doors upon its original introduction, an episode of Motor Trend TV stated that the thumbs up was for the introduction of the new body style, and the thumbs down was that the four-door body style was based on the first-generation model, which was in the process of a makeover. 1992 models were similar to 1991's, the only way to tell the difference is the rear back glass and front grille. The interior was a carryover from 1991 with the exception of the center console and steering wheel. Also, the S-15 name was dropped from the Jimmy. The S-10 Blazer also introduced an upscale Tahoe trim package, the Tahoe LT, which was rebadged as the LT in 1995 whilst the Tahoe package was renamed as the LS. The Tahoe LT had its own exterior dark copyright car with faded lower body lines on the lower rockers along with Tahoe LT badges. This also included an overhead console and keyless remote door locks. 1992 was the first model year where the S-10 Blazer and Jimmy offered an electronic transfer case for as a drivetrain option. This deleted the manual gear range selector with a 3-position switch located to the left of the gauge cluster in the same location that the rear defrost button would be located on non-electronic transfer case and 2 WD model Blazers and Jimmys. The electronic transfer case added luxury, however there was no neutral position with the electronic transfer case, so the owner's manual stated that the drive shaft had to be removed when the vehicle was being towed. The fuel lines, which were routed on the driver's side frame rail to the TBI fuel injectors, were redesigned where the fuel inlets entered the rear of the engine. This was phased in because of the L35 option, which used a similar fuel line setup. The serpentine accessory drive for the 4.3L motor was modified where the air pump was eliminated and further lightened. From at least 1992 onward, all S-10 Blazers and Jimmys came with anti-lock brakes as standard equipment. The 2.8L V6 was dropped as an option on the S-10 Blazer and Jimmy in 1990, though it was offered as an option on the S-10 and S-15/Sonoma pickups through 1993. A 5-speed manual transmission remained standard through 1994, but only with the TBI engine. Only the two 4.3L engines were offered as options, the base TBI and the CPI. 1993 had a few changes. The center console was raised, and the 4L60E transmission replaced the 700R4. The grille was revised, along with the addition of optional 5-spoke alloy rims. Although the second-generation S-Series pickup debuted in 1994, the S-10 Blazer and Jimmy continued unchanged in 1994. Much like 1993, the 1994 model year added a third brake light and the rear spoiler was discontinued. 1994 was a transition year for many automakers when it came to switching from R12 Freon to CFC Freon 134 refrigerant. The redesigned 1994 S-10 and Sonoma pickups used a 134 refrigerant. Despite being nearly identical to the 1993 models, the entire 1994 model year full-size pickup and SUV lineup also used a 134A. The 1994 S-10 Blazer and Jimmy seem to have used R12 until the end of their production run and subsequent replacement with redesigned 1995 models that looked like new for 1994 pickups. Second generation, the all-new Blazer was introduced in 1995 as a 1995 model year. This time, it lost the S-10 prefix for simpler identification due to the full-size K5 Blazer being discontinued. The Blazer was Playboy magazine's Truck of the Year for 1995 and was also the unanimous winner of the Motor Trend 1995 Truck of the Year. Exterior and interior size were increased, bumping it up to a mid-sized SUV. A driver's airbag came, but a passenger airbag wasn't immediately introduced. This Blazer appealed to more customers because of the less rugged appearance and rounded styling, and many storage spaces, a key feature for families. It was available with a 4.3L V6 engine only, and most models featured four-wheel drive via an electronic transfer case. 1997 was the last year a manual transfer case for four-wheel drive was offered. In 1998, the interior and exterior received some cosmetic changes. The makeover offered a new dashboard with larger buttons and more ergonomically correct driving controls, as well as larger door handles and headrests for the rear bench. A passenger airbag is now standard. A front grille similar to the Chevrolet CK pickup line's stacked headlight system replaced the older single headlight system, similar to the full-size GMT 400 trucks. In 1999, new folding mirrors replaced the old folding mirrors. 2000 saw new front bumpers and the trim running along the sides and bumpers was removed. For the 2001 model year, the truck received a new center console. In 1999, Chevrolet introduced a limited edition Trailblazer appearance package that was available as an upgrade to the LS and LT trims. The package featured gold-accented alloy rims and trim along with several interior-exterior modifications and upgrades. This package was marketed until the introduction of the GMT 360 series for the 2002 model year. The Trailblazer's headlamps, which featured daytime running lamps, would be available on various Blazer models until production ended. Upon introduction of the 2002 Chevrolet Trailblazer and the GMC Envoy, production continued after their successors came to the market, with the Jimmy only being sold in Canada, and in the 2005 model year, four-door models sold to vehicle fleets. Another upscale model was the 1998 GMC Envoy. It used the same engines and had many of the same upgrades as the Bravada. The 1998 model Envoy featured an optional upgrade to high-intensity discharge headlamps, and several other visual modifications. To celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Jimmy nameplate, the Jimmy Diamond Edition was launched. Not too different from the Envoy, it featured leather seats with a diamond pattern, special diamond logos, and an aluminum silver plate along lower sides of the SUV. At the same time, a Blaze Extreme was added to the lineup, based on the S-10 Extreme. This submodel lasted until 2004. The ZR2 package. The ZR2 package was only offered on the two-door Blazer, as for the two-door had the shorter wheelbase. It had a wider ladder-type frame which made the track for the truck approximately 3.9 inches wider. It also lifted the Blazer about 3 inches, which made it be able to clear 31x 10.5 tires on 15-inch wheels. An enhanced front and rear axles with 3.731 rear axle ratio. Larger wheel and axle bearings. A front anti-sway bar, skid plates, Bilstein shocks, and a beefier rear axle. This package was a little over $1,000, and it was first introduced on the S-10 pickup in 1994 and was carried over to the Blazer in 1996. IIHS gave a P for poor in the frontal offset crash test. Trims and models. Second-generation engines, 1995-4.3L Voltk 4300L 35V6, CPFI, 195 HP/250 lBAFT. 1996 Euro 2002-4.3L Voltk 4300L 35V6, CSFI, 190 HP/250 lBAFT, 2002 Euro 2005-4.3L Voltk 4300L U3V6, MPFI, 190 HP/250 lBAFT, Indonesia only, 1996-2005-2.2L, GM Family 2 Engine L4, MPFI, 138 HP/144 lBAFT, references. External links, Chevrolet Blazer at DMOZ.